welcome back to the Kingsway Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. I have some special guests with us today, Doug and Welch. I'm honored to have you guys on the podcast. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
We just finished up the service here on a Sunday morning, and if you want to tune into that, you can. But we kind of whet the appetite of the people that were out there, and we wanted to have the conversation in kind of a little bit more of a way that we didn't have time constraints, and we had some opportunities, I think, to talk about more details and let it be something that people, maybe they can put a comment or ask a question later, and maybe we can even get back. So the cool news is you guys are officially Kingsway partners.
Yay!
Which is so
That's awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for our people to have a chance to get to know you a little bit more of what God is doing and the future plans. So let's just start with this. Like, how did you guys meet? Because obviously, I mean, you guys look like you're from the same neighborhood. And,
Right,
just
exactly,
down the
yes.
street from each other.
Right.
So, how did you guys meet?
Yeah. How did we meet?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
How did we meet?
Well, you were my student. You remember that?
You have to finish the whole story.
Yeah.
Okay? You can, I was your student, but finish the whole story.
That's pretty much it. No, yeah. So Noy was my student, and the last semester that older student, obviously. Though she looks, still looks very youthful. But so her last semester, as a student, the furnace broke in the library,
Yeah.
and so Noy would normally work in the afternoons, do her schoolwork and stuff in the library. It was just way too cold in January.
Yep.
So she came and found looking for places to study on campus, and came and just happened to study in the lobby of the ministry center, which is where my office was. And so that was I always knew who Noy was and knew a little bit of her story, and she had taken a couple classes from me, but that's where kind of the friendship started, was there. And so after she graduated, I did, a silly thing and asked her out, and I think actually you didn't even know that I'd asked you out.
No,
I think you just were like,
I didn't know.
You were just like,
I
kind
was
of not
feeling
really
low.
sure. Like,
Yeah. What's
like,
happening right
it's
now?
like, so she was like asking, was that a date? That I was like, yes, it was. Yeah, so we started dating in June after you graduated, and then we got married the following February. So yeah.
Congratulations. Because
Yeah,
that 4
that's
years ago?
almost 4 years.
Almost
4 years.
Yeah.
Time fly?
I know. Yeah.
That's so
Well,
neat.
I mean, it's like
Amazing.
most of that was COVID. So
Oh,
yeah.
goodness gracious,
So
guys.
that's-
And that made either things really intense, or it feel
Right.
like it snail paced it, or that 2 years just was erased from everyone's memory and it just kind of showed up in 2022.
we often look at each other and like, how long have we been married? Have we been married 10 years, 12 years,
It's
20
so
years?
true.
Yeah, it feels like that. Yeah.
It's so true.
That's
in a
true.
good way. In a good
In
way.
a good
right?
way. In a good way.
So I love to hear that, and Doug and you and I have known each other for a while. Obviously, you were one of my professors at school, and I think one of your first years was actually one of my first years there.
Yeah, it could
And
be.
it was like 2005.
Okay. I started in 2004.
There you go. So it
Yeah.
was either your first or second year. I remember you were one of the young new guys on campus.
Right.
I was very excited to take classes from you and just be around the fresh blood and energy. I was a non-traditional student. I'd failed 2 years of community college and done an internship, and then showed up at school, and I was very, very excited to be at Ozark. So, personality-wise, are you extroverted? What are you each? Because you're more introverted
I'm
by
pretty
nature.
introverted, yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
extroverted? You seem a little extroverted.
I'm very conservative.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very proper and
Very, yes.
conservative.
Yeah. Sort of stereotypical Asian, submissive
Very
woman. Yes.
submissive.
Why do I feel like you're lying to me?
When we were preparing, because we had a chance to go this past summer, it was my first time going to Asia, where she's from, and she kind of like, most people are not like me. So I'm like preparing to like a whole host of people that are like Noy, like just very, energetic.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, that's not. Most people are like very quiet and very unassuming, except your family. Yeah.
They're
So
pretty
your family's a
different.
bunch of crazy people, but it is a very interesting personality mix. between
Yeah.
the two
So
of us.
you just told me that you hadn't been back in almost 8 years, but you got to go back this summer.
Yeah.
What days or months were you there for?
We were there
We were
in
there,
May.
yeah,
May
almost
and
all of
June.
May,
Yeah.
June, and then all of June and July.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to go into detail of necessarily why you left and all that. We'll leave that in the past, and there's whole stories of that we can talk privately about. But I want to just touch on this. Like, what was it like to go back and to bring him with you? I mean, obviously, this is a really cool thing. You get to reunite with your family. You get to have some of this cool stuff. But what was that experience like over the summer? I mean, changed him physically. I mean, he's like, yeah, eat a little differently over there. Things are changing. What was that like going back?
I kept hearing people say, like Doug will have more culture shock than me.
Mm-hmm.
But, in fact, I thought, the same thing. But, the reality, it wasn't the way that I thought. I had more culture shock than him.
Really?
Because, I expected, things to be the same, like the same road, the same, lifestyle, the same communication. And, but when we were there, it was like everything was completely different.
Was it more advanced? Was it just the culture had shifted?
I would say like more advanced in a way that I think it's sad for me. But I mean, it's a good thing for the whole country. But, like more cars, more buildings. And,
Probably a faster pace.
Yeah, faster pace. And people are so busy, And I mean, like the traffic, it was just unbelievable.
Well, the funny thing is you say that, though, but if you took somebody out of 2007 and you brought them back in like 2015, even just here, I mean, the world just has gotten social media.
Yeah.
Everyone has a phone, high-speed internet.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. So describe to me a little bit what Laos is like, or what this country is like, because in my mind, I don't know if I even have a picture, like geographically, what kind of vegetation, what does this place look like?
Okay. It's a very small country.
Yeah.
It's located in Southeast Asia, and we're surrounded by Vietnam, China, Cambodia, Thailand. It's very landlocked.
Yeah.
Very mountainous, very beautiful. It's very diverse. I would say out of over 6 million people, we have more than 126 ethnic minority groups.
That's just crazy to me. Like Papua New Guinea, that's what that sounds like to me.
basically,
It's just
yeah.
like every mountain's a new tribe.
Yeah,
Like you
that
cross
is
a
exactly
mountain
like
and
that.
it's like, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And so is this like rainforest? Is this tropical? I mean, go down. Do you have tigers? Like where are we at here? Like,
we used to have a lot of tigers.
Okay.
But because things change and they're all
gone.
gone.
That's so sad.
I know, it's so sad, but we have so many elephants.
Yeah.
If you want to do like riding elephant, just come to Laos.
That's amazing. And the Indian elephants, right? These are the smaller ones,
Yeah.
the smaller ones than the African.
Well, no, they're big.
No, they're pretty big.
Yeah, they're big.
Okay.
What's the difference? One of them has big ears, right?
I
The
think-
other ones have smaller
The
ears.
Yeah.
African has big, and I think
Big
the
ears.
Indians
Okay,
have
right.
the small.
The smaller ears.
Small,
So-
yeah, but they,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I always
They're
think of them
cute.
as African, but then, this just sounds terrible. But like
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, it's
Right.
in the middle. It's in that. It's in
Yeah.
that section of
There
the
you
world
go.
that
Yeah.
I know your
Oh, you're
movie.
right. Yeah.
And so I was always like, wait, they have elephants in Cambodia? Like I didn't.
Oh, we have
realize-
many.
Yes, I
We
just
have
never
many.
realized that
Yeah.
is something that's over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what's the main agriculture? Like, what is Laos known for in the sense of like, what does it bring to the world economy? Like, what does it do
Yeah.
as a country? Is it rice fields? And
Rice
like,
field.
Yeah, it's mostly
Okay.
rice,
Yeah.
right?
That's the main thing. And also nature resources.
Yeah.
Like mining.
Mm-hmm.
We have gold.
Ooh.
We have, but it's kind of like gone. You know?
Yeah, it's like, you don't have it.
Yeah, but we don't have any.
It's like California had gold, like like yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Big trees and yeah.
Palm trees, coconuts,
yeah.
mangoes,
Mangoes,
Ooh.
like-
pineapple.
Yeah, we have the best
I bet your
Be-
fruit is
fruit
best
that I
fruit.
will say.
amazing. Oh,
If I don't
incredible.
speak of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
No,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I try to paint a picture in my mind because I hear Laos and like the American in me, all I see is Vietnam.
Right.
All I hear is just heartbreak, and then just this like completely different culture than I've ever experienced. I've
Yeah.
never been to Indonesia. That's not something I've experienced. I've never been to that side of the world. And through my experiences in Egypt or the Ukraine or even in Chile, nothing is as you think. Like you get there and you're like, yeah, the movies don't really tell. And so I guess I'm just trying to get you to say, like, what did you love or what do you still love about Laos? Like what draws your heart back there nostalgia-wise, or what do you wish people could experience about Laos that would make them fall in love with it?
I would say people.
Yeah.
People very friendly, very laid back, you know, and also really hospitable. You know, they don't have a stranger, you know. They just like, come on in, you know, the first time you know me, come and eat in my house and just hang out all day long, all night long. So it's just a beautiful of people, the heart of people, and beautiful culture also, you know, like we have like different, you know, like ages, you know, like, you know, younger generation, you know, respect older generation, which, you know, I have, you know, a hard time sometimes to live here, like, you know, people that, you know, younger than me, they don't really respect me. Yeah. And they don't value, like, you know, the uniqueness to be, you know, like, you know, have. So that's kind of like what I miss and value, that culture in my home country.
Yeah. What did you experience over there for the first time going there? I mean, your fresh eyes.
Right. Well, I mean, the first thing that hits you is the humidity.
Oh, it's
it's crazy.
Is it worse than here?
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
No.
Just tell me like how many times we had to get up and take a shower.
I have to wear this so I don't sweat on stage. I can't imagine what I would be like over there.
Yeah. So there were. Now, luckily, we did have, you know, air conditioning in places where we could sleep, so at least we could, you know, go to sleep at night. But a lot of times during the day, you're just you know, you're just constant melting. And you're just like, okay, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, time for my 2:00 shower. You know?
Yes, no joke. I mean, just wearing fabrics that can just go whip dry, right? You just take it outside and do this.
A lot of breathable, you know.
Yeah, a lot of
cotton. We need to do a lot of cotton now. But yeah, it's. As I was kind of thinking and reflecting when we came back was, you know, growing up here and growing up, you know, in America, you're always measured against other people. Yeah. And you're always kind of, your value in some way is determined by how other people see you or what value you can provide. Individualism. Yeah. And so it was, for me, it was very, it was almost kind of unnerving. At the beginning, it's like kind of breaking an addiction a little bit of receiving value from other people without providing anything in return.
Wow.
So it's like you just show up and people are happy to see you. And it's like, well, I haven't done anything for you. Yeah. You're not getting anything from me.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't speak the language very well. You know, I basically have the vocabulary of a 2-year-old. You know, and so, like, what is... But at the same time, they're like, no, come and eat and come and, you know, stay with us and very excited to see and just going out of their way to serve you. And it's just a whole different, I think, kind of formation of person that happens there. And there's some downside to that too, I think. But there's a different formation of person there, which I think comes a little bit from the economic system, comes maybe a little bit from Buddhism, but is a very interesting place to go and then within the Christian community there, how much more you experience that where the Holy Spirit is really united. You know, so it's really about our the life together that we have. And so, you know, the young people that we serve, I mean, they're living in very close quarters with one another. And so you go into some of those rooms and it's, you know, 3 bunk beds in a bedroom that would be for like one child.
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe just your closet.
Yeah. And, you know, you have kind of a common closet for, you know, 8 or 10, you know, young women. Golly. You know, and it's just like, how do you live like this? Function. And how do you live and with joy?
With joy, not just living, to survive, but thrive.
Right, and that's what I was really such a blessing.
That's incredible.
For me, going over and seeing that.
I heard a professor one time talk about, or a teacher one time talk about the Eastern world views what happened on the cross differently than the Western world. Western world takes the individualism of like the beatings and being called guilty and like the cross itself, but the Eastern world is where they're taken outside the gates and they're separated from their community and they're left in this pile of bones where no one will bury them and no one will know them and they're not allowed back into the community. That's actually the more of the torturous part to the cross is that side of it. So the Eastern world, it's still, the cross is terrible and it's bad and it's punishment, but as Americans, we're just kind of like, he's not guilty. Like, why would you punish him? And the Eastern world's like, he's separated from his family and his shame is now carried out. And I feel that when you talk about that, it's the intensity of that is real. So here's...
So what we're calling these young people out to, so many of them, Noi, when she first became a Christian, experienced that kind of being separated, isolated from the rest of her family. And thankfully, by God's grace... Her whole family has come to Christ, but that's what and that's our heart and our hope for these students, these young people, is they have been called out of their families in many ways, and then by God's grace, we're starting to see family members, starting to see villages, hear the gospel for the first time, and that's but preparing these young people. So basically, it's a ministry of multiplication. We're trying to multiply Noi. The kinds of people who would be empowered and able to bless their family members, their villages, and really take the gospel in places it's never been.
Well, and you're utilizing both the wall that cultural thing can be because you're separating yourself, but you're also creating a place for them to come and belong at the same exact time. When Jesus comes in and throws over the tables in the temple courts, he's most angry because the Gentiles have nowhere to worship. That's where he's angry that they don't have a place to come and find God. It's not that it's the money exchange, all that, sure, but it's that you're using this space that's meant to hold people's home. Their community is supposed to be here, and I always think that. That's why when I heard even on stage, you're like, you're passionate. You have this, your heart is burdened to see more people find this real community because even though there is community outside of Christ there, that there's a hollowness to it and there's a hole at the center of it, and there's a fullness that they have not yet experienced that could be there.
So true.
So talk to me about what you're trying to do in specifics, in the sense of like, obviously, there's so many boundaries, or I would say so many things that are keeping you from being able to complete your mission when it comes to finances and time and resources and people and stuff. But what's your hope, and who are you trying to reach here in the next year or two, or the vision of what you guys are kind of going after? And we have a slide and stuff that I think at some point we'll put up, but and maybe some pictures. I think we have some pictures too. We'll try to slice in here of what you guys are up to, but. What's the vision kind of moving forward, and when you going back?
At the moment we are serving 11 ethnic minority groups, and our heart is to, if God's willing, we want to reach all, people that never heard the gospel for the whole Laos, and we hope that the building that we are building will be a place to equip, to train, to decide people and send them out. What we are hopeful for the future, we want this building to be kind of like a place to, disciple, but like become like a vocational training place, for the most unreached groups, to equip, to train, to disciple and send them out.
I love that. There's a missionary team that we just had 2 weeks ago. That's what they're doing in Kenya. Is that they have a school that they train pastors, and then when they go out and they call them bomas, they go to these villages, these families. Then they have in waiting these men or women that are trained and ready to go and meet the need, and they'll meet under a tree or whatever. But they're like, and that's absolutely their system. They kind of they go out as the evangelists, but then they leave a seed, or they have someone to go back and plant. And their grandparents started it, so they're like the third generation to come in and try to do it. And so you may think it's crazy to have that, but they're still reaching new people groups.
Sure,
and they're still reaching these villages. And when I hear you talk about that, I love that I have in my mind a way that God's already been faithful 2 continents away in almost the exact same mindset.
Right.
They're handing them a solar Bible that has their language, audibly, so they can. Most of them don't read and write, and they just literally hand it to them, and it's the first time they've heard. So that's amazing. So this is going to be a hub that you're hoping to train future leaders, future influencers, evangelists. How many are going to stay in this building? How big is this building? What are we looking to have happen here with this building in specifics?
Initially, it's a 2-story building. It's total about 4,600 square feet.
Okay.
So not very big, but again,
so like 2 American houses.
Right. Yeah. That's basically, yeah. So, but we'll be able to house maybe 30 people in this, and then hopefully we'll have some basically cottages in addition to that, and maybe space to put on an additional wing in the future, and then maybe down the road do some different things as far as building. We've talked about a school, and the connection point for a lot of these young people, and what Noi initially started back in 2008 or so, was that a lot of these young people come from villages that don't have educational opportunities past 3rd grade.
Yes.
So in order for them to continue going to school, they would have to leave their family, travel several days often, cross a river by themselves, and find some kind of housing arrangement, sometimes with a family, sometimes just in an abandoned building.
Oh my goodness.
To sleep, feed themselves, and go to school. So, and especially young women in those areas have no value whatsoever.
Gosh.
So it's just like, don't go to school, be brought up at home until you're of marrying age, and then they're basically, sort of given in marriage.
Property.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of the so Noi had built some safe houses in those areas, and that's what we're kind of recreating here is so giving the opportunity to finish school, to finish college in some cases, right?
Wow.
So we've got some young women, and they're the very first person in their entire village to have gone to college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
That's so
It is
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, and even just vocational opportunities to do that. So at present, we're having to kind of send them out to do that. So to get that kind of vocational training, they're doing that outside.
Well, of course.
Of course. We're not able to do it, but
The dream.
right,
Yeah.
that's down the road is wanting to be able to provide all of that, or at least more of that in-house, so that we can be, kind of the one place for them to be fully trained and then prepared for whatever it is that God is going to, where
That
it
is
is that God's
so
going to send them and to reach out to.
I mean, and you really are. It sounds like there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of brokenness. I'm sure as every country has, and starting something fresh, even if it's just the smallest glimpse of hope or light, it has a bright future. And I get excited about education, because education in those places, that's literally sometimes all it takes to break legacies, to break hardships, to break those kind of family bonds. And you experience that all around the world, where their education leaps forward. The gospel normally leaps forward too. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of church history, but that's kind of like the medieval. I mean, that's kind of the way the church has always been. It's kind of gone, let us help you learn, and as you learn, let us show you how God has what God has done.
Yeah, and I really feel like this is the way that we will bring the gospel to tribal people.
Absolutely.
And when we study about Laos, Laos is like the most uneducated countries, like in the world. And those people are tribal people. They don't read and write, and also, our country needs education. And I see like education is a channel to bring the gospel to people. And I mean, like, Jesus, he always like educate and tell people stories, and and I think it's just one way to see okay, we can bring the gospel through education. And that's why my heart is to educate, not only to disciple them, but educate them to bring back what they learn, what they know, and help the communities. And we hope that that they will be the one that open, the possibility and opportunity for, the younger generation.
You're empowering people with education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a free gift. It's something that, when I went to the Ukraine, we taught English free. And that was kind of the way it was, because English over there is a gateway to better jobs, better education,
That's
actually
right.
the world. And so we literally just teach for 2-3 weeks. And then at the end to go, we came here and we gave it to you because Jesus loves you. And that was the whole thing.
Right.
And we're like, and if you want to know more, that's great. If not, take the gift and God willing. And I think what you're doing that is such a, not only is it what Jesus would do in the sense of like, I'm not offering you something just to convince you to follow Jesus. I'm offering you something that even if you just implement it into your life, it will make your life better.
Right.
And that's the way that Jesus operated. He didn't do it with like, holding the gun to someone's head, like, we'll give you an education, but at the end of this, you gotta follow, or at the end of this, you gotta make the right choice.
It's a self-multiplying built in. It's the parable of the sower. It's like each little seed, 30, 60, 100 fold, and it's really tapping into the power of the gospel in going far beyond sort of our ability to explain it or our ability to even embody it, right?
I just love it whenever you talk to like this and I can read it into Acts. Like I can read it into the book where it's like this woman came and there was these people that needed help and education. And so the apostles equipped a team of people to create this system so that they could get education and make sure that they were taken care of. You could read that into Acts because that's how gospel movements work. And it multiplies, right?
Yeah.
People see that and they go, what are you doing? And you're like, why are you helping these people?
I don't think we're ever worried about like finding more people to help. I don't think we're ever worried about, well, we're going to build this thing. Are we going to have anybody ever
right? The workers are few.
Right. It's just like, nope, that's never going to be a concern for us. Like, we have this bed, it's like, can we find anybody? No, there's always, the need is always greater than
and when
our
you're
capacity.
talking about 120 plus different,
right.
That's got to be heartbreaking when you're there and you just know just over that mountain is a village that doesn't know, and just over that hill, and
well, we're talking less than 2% of the entire population are Christians.
So here's how we gotta somehow find some hope in this, because there's the truth. You're making a 4,600 building, but I think I've been saying this a lot and I've been thinking about it a lot. I think the gospel is about planting seeds, but it's about planting seeds that others will sit in the shade of, right? It's about planting seeds that others will benefit from, and that's gospel type stuff. Jesus' gift is not just for the generation he's standing in front of, but for generations to come.
Yeah.
So the hope here is, timeline wise, you guys want to get this done in the next year to get this building on the ground. Like what would be it? Because here's the thing, you got to tell me, because we got people that listen.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
So we can make this happen.
Here we go.
Like, what do you want? So, like, what do you need right now to make this not just something that God's calling you to, but to make it a reality? What do you need to have happen? How can we pray? How can we give? All that stuff.
Yeah, we really need the building to be done by July.
Okay.
Because we have been renting 2 houses.
Yes.
And the price is, keeping it up. And also we have a long list of people that we want to help.
Yeah.
We have so many girls and boys that want to come, and we want to train more, we want to equip more, we want to disciple more. But what we are having is so limited. We don't have a space that we can train. We don't have a space to even like gather as a big group. That's why we really need it to be done. And also the fact that, we see a big potential that God wants us to do. We want to help these kids, but they're all farmers, and we want to do some kind of like agriculture, and we want to teach them how to work hard and how to be self-reliant, to learn how to do garden, how to be responsible. And we have raised some money, and we have over $50,000.
That's amazing.
And we need more help because of the economy. As you know, the gas and everything's so expensive, right now, and everything is so like unbelievable expensive. So we have to double. So what we have been trying to raise, to reach our goal, it would be like $50,000.
Okay.
so that's what we have been trying and asking God and sharing with different partners.
Yeah.
If you want to partner with us and see this building to be done.
Yeah. So truthfully, we have a breakdown. I think that's what's the breakdown around, Luke? Do you remember how much it is? 10. So we have a breakdown of 10 of some of the pieces of the building, but
That's right.
ultimately the goal is 50. And I just want to speak that out because there are some people in our congregation that they just want to know where we're at. So at the $50,000 mark, like how long is it going to take for this building to be done? Like if you had it tomorrow, would you be able to finish it in a couple months, 6 months?
It will be done like in April.
It'd be done in April.
April or May.
Yep.
So that's just timeline wise. I think it's healthy. You know, obviously we're one church, we're one congregation, one piece of the body, but we want to play our role. We want to do our part. And I think it is important to recognize that we're not building a Hilton here. You know, we're just building a facility that can house and keep kids safe and help education move forward and ultimately give a gift of love and safety to people that have never experienced the love and safety that's in Christ, and let that be the example that they experience first on the ground in a real way.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's so cool. It makes my heart so happy to hear that. And it's exciting because we're not just partnering with you right now in this month, but we're hoping to continue the conversation and let this be something that builds. And we do this every November, so it'll be fun to check in and be like, God has been so good, or good try, we got to go again. So we'll see what he does. But I loved this conversation. This makes my heart warm, and it really is kind of neat to see maybe what the enemy meant to harm. God has used to bless, and what patience will do when you're willing to teach in the middle of Missouri, and now what God could be doing. The future is bright. It excites me. So, any closing thoughts or things that you would want to share with anybody that's out there that's listening from our conversations, or pieces or holes that maybe we should have mentioned?
I just want to say thank you for who you are as a church. I'm just so impressed, how you really captured Jesus' heart for the lost, for the redemption. So I think it just amazed me, and I'm so grateful. I'm very emotional, just the fact that you know us, but now you get to know more about us. Not only like to know about us, you love what we are doing, and you want to partner with us. And I think not only partner with us, it's not really like a better way to say, but partner with Jesus. It really tells that this is your heart. This is your heart call to pursue God's heart. And I'm just in love with the church for who you are and what you are doing. And I'm very thankful. And thank you for having us today and for a future partner together.
Love it.
That's great.
Agonize, right?
Thank you for agonizing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes it is.
Well, and I will say we have little lanyards that we're passing out with Laos on it, and we're asking people to not just give, but to pray and to ask God to move. And Luke is constantly going to be giving us opportunities to update and know how to specifically do that. And so we're excited too, and thank you for that. You're too kind. We are fighting hard for the heart of Christ around here. Love is at the core of everything we do, is one of our values.
That's awesome.
And so I love to hear that you
Wonderful.
feel that. We fight very hard to keep it there. It can be challenging with those people that take extra energy or or time, but this is not one of those moments. And I think what you're doing, I just hope that in those moments where things get hard or the price goes up or you doubt or the line of people to help seems beyond what you can do, I just hope you trust that the gospel is big enough and it's worth it, and you're right where God's supposed to be, got you to be. So thank you again so much for coming on. If you have any questions for them, you can send those to Ryan or to Luke. We'll have those linked. You can put a comment if you want to just share an encouragement or a prayer, let them know you're praying for them. As always, you can share this with somebody else, or you can subscribe for more. I'm sure we'll have more conversations to come with them and others as we continue our Blessed to Bless campaign. But as always, thanks so much for listening, and thanks again for being on. Have a great and glorious day in the Lord, and we'll see you later.